Hey everyone, and again, Happy New Year. Hope you're doing great. And have a great and make the most of it out of the upcoming year as well. So, there you go. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you as usual for watching. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some stuff I learned about recently. So, I just did a video on the whole Billy Carson thing, so it's kind of where I got some of the information from. Some of it I've heard of before. But anyways, the Bible, right, it's a compilation of different texts and gospels that are put together over time and to recount the life and story of Jesus and also the teachings of God over a long period of time. So, and that being said, there are certain gospels that are considered either just myth or rumor, or perhaps do exist but are considered apocryphal or heretical, simply meaning going against the established teachings. So the four gospels that I kind of mentioned in the video title. So we're all familiar, you probably heard, many of you are probably familiar of the ones you hear of, like Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the chapters of the Bible, some of the chapters. So, and these are supposed to be like the first-hand accounts of these individuals and their interpretation of the teachings. So, that being said, there are additional gospels that have been either spoken of but never found, so never proven to be true. And some of them are considered just non-existent or rumor, but then some have been found, for example. Okay. I'm back, I think I've got it. So just to get in no given order, one is the Gospel of Barnabas, who was one of the disciples of Jesus. And the mentionings of such a gospel go back, I think, hundreds of years, but it's never been found. Well, it was found, don't quote me, I'm definitely no expert, and I just read all this stuff, and it's just kind of like running together in my mind. But say like 100 years ago, roughly, when pieces of it were found and kept like they're preserved, like some of these gospels, even the fake ones, are preserved in like museums and universities. So, but it has been proven to be a forgery. They can date it. They can prove that it is literally using technology and literal both technology, like say carbon dating, as well as they use all this stuff plus contextual references, historical references, and things like that. So I think in the Gospel of Barnabas, like certain names were wrong. Names and dates didn't line up, and there were contemporary references in there that shouldn't have existed back when Jesus was alive. It's like, for example, it's like talking about cell phones, during the Roman Empire. Like someone writes it down and they're like, oh yeah, so, I walked outside my Roman hut this morning and I called my friend on my cell phone. And you're like, what? So there's like examples that didn't line up with the timeline. So that has proven to be fake. There's also a supposed and recovered Gospel of Mary, the wife of Jesus, that indicates, that Mary of Magdalene was his wife. This has been proven, what they found anyways, to be a forgery or a fake as well, unfortunately. So, and there's another gospel called the Gospel of the Holy 12, which is proven to be a forgery as well, based on all these methods that I mentioned. So these things have literally been disproven by science and historical and scholarly methods of proving whether something is valid and could be used as factual. So of course I had asked, I had asked for the answers, right, to channel the answers. And because I was curious, well, are these indeed forgeries? Because you never know, right? But when you read about these things online and you look them up, the evidence is very, very overwhelmingly strong. And you can see why they're considered forgeries. So, or fakes, simply fakes. Forgery simply means something was altered or completely faked. And so I had asked for the answers for all three of these Gospels, and the answer was yes, they are all three. What we have documented right now, they're all fake. So that is true. All three of these, not real. I never asked the question, though, do they exist somewhere? So that's an interesting thought. I'll have to circle back maybe on that one. But just to kind of summarize, so the Gospel of Barnabas actually denies that Jesus was crucified. It said that someone else was put in his place, and then God actually ascended Jesus to heaven, like spiritually, instead of him being killed. The Gospel of the wife of Jesus talks about their relationship, of course. And, so speaks to that, because right now it hasn't been proven, like what their relationship was exactly. And the Gospel of the Holy 12 was actually about Jesus being a vegetarian. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Whoever wrote that or came up with that, same thing like maybe 100 years ago or so, kind of put forth him as a vegetarian. It's interesting. I asked for the answer, and he's someone that you can channel and ask answers from all the time, just to let you know. So just like the spirit guide, he's like readily available 24/7 at all times to talk to you. And I had actually asked, well, were you a vegetarian? And he actually said, no, I actually loved meat. He said, I actually loved meat down there, he said. Which is good, because he said down there, he didn't say up there, so we know he's in heaven. I just realized that. But yeah, those were his exact words. He said, no, I actually loved meat when I was down there. That was his answer. He's not in hell. Okay, but that was kind of funny now I think about it. Anyways, so there's that. And that's my understanding of those. So 3 forgeries, and Jesus ate meat. So there you go. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was the Emerald Tablet. So this is a fascinating set of documents that Billy Carson talks about, a lot of people talk about, that I mentioned in my other video. Now, right now, they're actually considered not real, because they've never been found. So if they've never been found, there's nothing to track to, right, other than like rumors or things people write about. But when I asked if what's referred to as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, who was an ancient Atlantean, allegedly an Egyptian priest, who lived a long time ago, who, by the way, was actually supposedly an interdimensional being, like one of these advanced aliens that we're now starting to come in contact with again. So like a long time ago, there's this theory that advanced beings once contacted Earth and we interacted with them. And with our limited, less than thorough vocabulary or reasoning or mental faculties and knowledge that we had back then, what they did and how they looked and acted appeared like gods, because they could live a long time and they could fly through the air. So there's some theory saying our original religions, are they actually attempts to understand the divine, and are they existential in nature? I think both. That they were, but they it's very, very interesting theory, right? Like that sort of thing. And there's some evidence, again, I'm not an expert and I need to do more research, that kind of may possibly support this idea. And anyways, before I get too far off topic, what I found interesting was when I asked the question, were these tablets, so-called tablets, real? The answer was yes. So they were a very real set of documents. Now, and this guy, Doreal, who discovered them back in the 20s, I think, roughly about 100 years ago. So apparently they had been lost for quite some time or hidden. But he went to Egypt and he found them. So I asked for the story of what exactly, like, what do you mean they're real, basically? So the story, you read this online, for example, he found them and he translated them and wrote a book about it. The Emerald Tablets, about this guy Thoth and the information, and he speaks of this amazing technology that they had back then and what they're able to do. But I was told, so these documents actually did exist, and the guy who found them did find them. And I asked, well, were they translated accurately? And the answer was yes, they were translated pretty accurately. And I was like, well, holy crap. So what I found most interesting was, well, where are the tablets now if they're real? Because right now nobody can find them again. Like, and this guy's long gone and long dead, and like no one knows where they are. So as far as everybody knows, he just made this up, right? Well, what I was told was they were secured. These documents were secured by the ruling elite. That's exactly what I heard. The ruling elite. And I was like, whoa, okay, so that's interesting. This whole idea of, the Illuminati, or these sacred organizations and brotherhoods who have knowledge that go back thousands of years, and are in major positions and control the world. And there's a lot of truth to that. And it's not all bad. Usually these things, which I found kind of interesting. So I'm not against that. And I've talked about it in other videos. I want to do another one about it, though. This idea of human progression and sacred knowledge, and what we are, like our history on Earth. So there's a good angle to it, which I actually support, which I actually believe. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that these sorts of things exist, or this type of knowledge is hidden. But I could talk for hours about that. Back to the Emerald tablets, so I was like, whoa, so once they were discovered, they were basically confiscated, taken to a safe location. And I was like, wow. And I was like, well, do you guys know where that is? And they said, I was asking my guides, by the way, spiritual guides, and they said, well, the answer I heard was, we have a pretty good idea where they are right now. So now remember, they don't know everything. That's important to point out. So there's rules of privacy. Like if, for example, like my neighbor, right? If they put something in their backpack and then they take it to their friend's house and they leave their backpack there, their guides or my guides, they're not going to know like what's in. Like, we're not being watched every single second of every day. There's rules for privacy that exist, and that's why the answer was, we have a pretty good idea where they are. Not we know exactly where they are. So I think that's important to point out. But they didn't tell me. And you know what? I told them, okay, you know what? Good. I don't want to know. And I said, I actually made that agreement very strict too. I was like, whatever you guys think you know, like, don't tell me. I don't want to know, like, and I'm sure it's no big idea, even if I hear, and I do hear the answer clearly and it's accurate or somewhat accurate. It's just like, I'm glad they don't tell me. And it's interesting that they know a lot of this information. But I was like, yeah, just don't ever tell me. I just don't need to know these things. Like, I once asked about the Ark of the Covenant, and that's real from what I understand. And I think it may have been hidden in Israel at a certain point, but I think it's also been moved at a certain time too. And I don't know the specifics as well, and I don't want to. So the fact that these artifacts were real, neat, and someone has them, great. Let them keep it. And it's not a huge deal. I mean, it's not like if we knew this information, it would, who has what artifact. It's speculation, and who cares, to be honest. So, but that's just my agreement I have. And for this information, believe it or not. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't want to know. They probably could tell me, but I made a very strict agreement never to be broken, that there are certain things I just don't want to know. Don't give me information that may be damaging to others, or safety issues for others, for example. I don't want to just put stuff out there recklessly. So but anyways, there you have it. So from what I understand, the Emerald tablets are real, the translation was accurate, and there's some truth to that, and I found that fascinating. And also these other gospels, not true. Anyways, there you have it, and I wanted to share that because I found that fascinating and really interesting, I guess. Anyways, so let me know your thoughts, or have you heard about these sorts of things? If you haven't, go check it out if you want to. I think it's fascinating, and I think there is a very different, somewhat similar, but a more magnificent past that Earth went through that we're actually coming full circle with right now. So I'll do another video on that because I've talked a lot too much already. But anyways, yeah, some interesting stuff. So thank you for watching, and yeah, again, Happy New Year, and take care, and we'll see you later.